possess you anywhere. The same dark angel that resides in me resides in you. Addicted to my demons, inevitable that you'd meet them. There's a darkness in my head that makes you wish you never left. You never found me. You'll never let me go. Last in itself can be a gift, and with few strings I offer it. In the night we will reveal what lies beneath what's lying still. To lift the silent veil is a testament to your need. Addicted to your demons, you try to fight them, but you can't win. I know that burning symphony, a fire red cacophony, a passion rooted within our harmony. And when the daylight breaks, what of the night will still remain? What moments linger on inside your head when I am gone? A fleeting gone too soon. Only the dark knows of the moon. Look deep into the truth. The demon that you fight is you.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Scene2IQ. With me today, I have a very special guest, Kylira, who is a musician, artist, swordplay master, I could say, harpist, and among other things, just a wonderful creative person. Kylira, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I guess that's a great place to start, is we kind of talked a little bit about the passions that you have, and we also heard a really cool song. Now, I know that song, it's on your recent released album called Ghosts, and this was a cool acoustic version, so maybe we can break that down a little bit. I'd love to hear kind of the process behind, I guess, the lyrics that you wrote, because, you know, it seems very like good and evil, like, you know, there's like a battle between angels or whatever. And then maybe we can hear a bit more kind of like the process of, you know, the arrangement that we just heard, because that was really cool. I haven't heard that version before. I think maybe that's something new.
Yeah, actually very new. We were just, Antoine, who plays guitar for me in the band, we were just having a conversation about it'd be cool to do kind of an unplugged version of the album. It made me laugh because, you know, anyone who's seen the things I've been releasing over the last 5-6 years, it's kind of the same songs recycled over and over, and I keep doing different things with them. So a lot of them are new on the Ghost album, but there's some songs that I had released on my first EP that I've kind of recycled for and remastered, and then taken those remasters and then used them on the Ghost album and just made them more metal versions. So some of the songs already have like 3 or 4 versions out
That's
there
fair,
already.
right?
And I thought it would be cool to do kind of an unplugged version of the Ghost album. Just when I envision the Kylira show, I want it to be more than a concert every time. And I always want it to be something bigger than I think I always have the capacity to do, or the venue, or the budget. And going unplugged is kind of a way to just get the music out there and kind of in a toned down way. But I think the essence of Kylira is very theatrical, very over the top. So I kind of have to do extremes, you know what I mean? Like I can't just do a normal show. I have to either go huge theatrical or strip it right down and do something kind of completely different if I want it to be something more mellow. But yeah, it turns out that we had just played around with one of the songs, My Demons, last night when you mentioned it might be a good idea. And uh, it sounded really cool acoustically. And uh, Antoine was playing around with the song Crucified, which isn't on the Ghost album, but it was on my, it was just a single I released a while ago. And it has a lot of harp in it. It was very harp driven. So it's kind of easy to transition that to guitar. And yeah. So just an idea, and it sounds cool. I think maybe we'll do more with that, kind of do an acoustic set with some of the songs.
Grateful that you decided to share that acoustic version. My personal opinion is I think it's awesome, and I think we need more of that from both of you.
Thanks.
So, so you mentioned the song was My Demons. So,
Hmm.
what was the process behind like writing those lyrics? Like, what was the person or I guess feeling you were trying to capture in some of those lyrics?
It's very interesting because I started writing music really seriously maybe like 8 years ago, whenever that first EP was. I don't remember anymore. And it was kind of my first, I've written like poetry, you know, in my youth and stuff. It was my first kind of self exploration of what naturally do I want to talk about when I want to write about. And I seem to have this recurring theme in a lot of my lyrics, and it's kind of like this rebelliousness against religion undertone, which is interesting because I wasn't necessarily raised into any religion. I had some elements of Catholicism growing up, that was mostly just like, you know, kind of stemming from my grandma, passed down to my mom, and she kind of passed down things to me, but it was never like serious. I was baptized when I was 2, I think, but that's kind of the extent of it. I never went to church, but growing up, I believed in God. I believed I should pray. I had like a crucifix on my wall. I had like a picture of Jesus over my bed, but I didn't even question it. It's just, you know, just what everyone did when you were a kid. And then as I got older, I started getting more into history and stuff like that, and kind of researching other religions, and got more into. I got really into the New Age religions and Wicca specifically when I was like 12. And that kind of really transformed a lot of my views on religion and beliefs. And I kind of always had this internal battle, I guess, with myself and with faith and with life and science and knowledge. I'm very logical and very scientific. And that's kind of just something that I've always been compelled to explore. But what really kind of shifted for me was when I started studying dracology a lot more. And I was writing a book during the pandemic on dragons.
That's really cool. Oh, seriously,
Yeah, I
love to
was
hear more
doing
about
a
that.
ton
Yeah,
of research and reading all these academic papers on myths from different times, and making these incredible like connections and patterns through history. And that kind of totally any little ounce of maybe faith I had in religion was just demolished when I looked into the research and the history, and I could see the recycled stories through time. And it's not so much that I don't think I don't have faith anymore in anything, but I just believe more in the psychology of all humans, and in some way that is religion, that is spirit, that is God. To me now, what God means to me is seeing somebody fully live and share their passions. And when I see somebody performing and they're giving it their all and they're inspiring everybody, and the whole room is filled with that energy, that's God to me.
100%.
And I think just that tone of that personal journey of me figuring that out, what that all means. Um, and kind of just having this rebellious streak to it. For some reason, it comes out in my lyrics a lot. A lot of my lyrics are very like, they have religious wording, but it's very rebellious. And so I guess it's just very personal experience based. But I didn't really notice that until I was writing this album, and I'm like, huh, there's something going on here with me
Yeah, I guess
psychologically.
some might say that like the essence of creating art is like having that personal connection and those feelings, and it's a way to almost get them out of you in a way,
Hmm.
so that you can process them and share them with people. So
Well, what better way to learn more about yourself? It's like it's self therapy,
totally. Yeah.
same as journaling or
Well said.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what you mentioned about that, you could hear it. You're right in the other lyrics too. Like one of my favorite songs off of Ghosts is Voodoo. It's that like little chant to like,
Yeah.
but also your harmonies and stuff. It's just there's like emotion built into it.
Hmm.
It's just really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks. So I'd be curious to learn a bit more about how you got into the music then too. I mean, I heard kind of through the grapevine for your mom actually when I was at the register theater that, maybe in your family, like your dad was an opera singer, if I'm not mistaken, right?
My dad was no.
Uh,
I think my grandpa maybe
Somebody,
sang,
pardon me, in your family may have been.
but no one was professionally a musician. There's actually no one in my family who does music professionally or even really recreationally. Now that I think of it, my uncle is an amazing painter, uh, but yeah, that's about it. There's no one really musical in my family. I kind of I think I've heard my grandpa had a really great voice, but I never really heard it. He died when I was like 10, and I wouldn't see him very often. So
That's fair. So what was your influence then? I'm just curious how you got into it.
I just always was always drawn to music. And the more was kind of raised to appreciate like medieval history and just history in general, mostly medieval history. So I was drawn, and I played a lot of video games. I read a lot of fantasy novels. So I was drawn to those elements of like, especially the harp. I was always drawn to the harp, but I'm not sure where the pull came. And also very drawn to Baroque Victorian eras. So I just really enjoyed listening to classical music growing up and wanting to emulate that. And of course, for me and for most people, singing operatically is like, you know, the best showcase for your voice. And yeah, it was mostly wanting to sing along with classical music that I loved that got me sort of into it. And then actually, I remember, I think I was like 10 or 11, and I heard Charlotte Church for the first time. She was a kid then, but she would sing in like these big venues, like classical, just big classical voice. And that appealed to me because I really wanted to be like a pop star at the time. But I was like, oh, there's a way to kind of do both. Like I
Sure.
could be a pop star, but I could sing this more of this classical style. So I started to learn her songs. But yeah, there is no real moment or real influence or inspiration. It's just kind of something that's always been there. I can't really pinpoint where it comes from.
Maybe it chose you then.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's really cool. And now you also mentioned because you were influenced and were intrigued by the harp.
Mm.
And, I've seen like small clips and videos and stuff of you at NAM, like playing harps and just making fabulous melodies. So how does one learn that? Is that something you taught yourself or like,
I
where
was
do you get a harp? Like, cause I don't see the schools, for
yeah,
example, right?
right. That so what inspired the harp for me was I was in Vegas, which is one of my favorite places to be for inspiration. And I was walking through the Bellagio Gardens and it was springtime. And the Bellagio Gardens are redone every season, every year. It's totally different. And it just so happens that the time I went, they had a setup with this huge indoor garden, and they had a harp in the middle of the garden. I'm assuming they had a harpist playing during the day. And something just clicked in me, and I said, I'm going to learn the harp and I'm going to come back here and play the harp in this garden. So when I got home, basically, I just was looking up harp lessons near me. The closest was in Markham that I could find. This lady who was teaching out of her home, and she had a room of harps that she was selling. And I learned from her for a couple years, and then she moved away. And then after that, I kind of just played around on the harp by myself. It's interesting because I found with the harp, it wasn't something that, like, I was very determined to learn it. When I'm determined to do something, I do it. But to me, it just never felt right. It never felt natural to just learn music on it. It was more something that I just wanted to play with and experiment with. And I found that just going improv, jamming on the harp was so much more natural to me. So that's really what it is. I don't consider myself like a professional harpist because of that. I kind of just threw the training away, and I don't learn music on it really. I kind of just play it. So it's sometimes great things come out. Yeah, I've written some, like, I can compose with it. But if you ask me to replay it, I don't know if I could.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that's really neat that you kind of have that improv kind of nature behind the harp, and it's not so like structured in the classical genres or what have you. It's just something that is, a tool for you to express
Yeah.
yourself with.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of music should be. And I think that's something that's really lacking working in the music industry and with music lessons and in studios. I see it a lot. It's very structured. A lot of education, musical education, is very structured. Of course, you want that classical foundation in what you're learning, but there's really a lack of just playing, experimenting, especially with singing. This is something I'm very passionate about, but with the voice, it's very much, I want to learn this song and I'm going to imitate the singer that sang it. And the teacher teaching you is learning the same way that they were taught, and that teacher's learning the same way they were taught. And I never really witnessed a voice lesson where they just let you play and experiment. What does your voice sound like? Like, let's just make noises. Let's just make sounds. Um, it's just very, let's learn a song, let's learn a song, let's learn a song. And then I find that a lot of singers are imitating each other, and then everyone kind of sounds the same at the end of the day. And there's a lot of singers out there, but everyone really needs to just take the time to find their own voice. What does your voice sound like on it, like naturally? Because everyone has a unique voice. Everyone should be able to sing and can sing and find what makes them special and unique. But having said that, if you love the way you sound and you sound like five other singers, who cares? Like, that's also great
Right.
too.
Right.
The point is that you're authentically
yourself,
singing. Yeah. From the heart, and you're not just trying to sound like somebody else or singing because it's cool to sing. You know what I mean? Or not just singing, but any instrument. It's like, what's your sound, your special sound?
I really appreciate that because, like, as somebody who aspires to sing, and I don't, but would love to, I've had that advice from other folks who is like, oh yeah, make your voice sound like this, make your voice sound like that. And
Right.
nobody really said anything about trying to find what your voice actually sounds. And I think for me, that's where my anxiety or lack of confidence had come in, is because I'm not able to sound that way.
Right.
So that's really refreshing. And I'm glad you said that. So if you're still doing lessons, that would be cool. Something to try. You mentioned also working in the industry, and that's kind of cool because, like, that was my first contact with you too, which is really neat. And I'm grateful, Midtown Radio was able to have a partnership with SGI, and
Yeah.
we were able to do that and see some amazing shows, amazing artists. One of them, which is Antoine, who's on the other side of this.
Yeah.
That was really neat. So how did you get involved with SGI? Oh, and I guess for those who don't know, that would be What is Stonebridge
Stonebridge Guitars International.
International?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I got involved with them through the Octave Music Center, which is owned by the same owner, Ken Wilson.
Right.
He owns those two companies as well as Brickhouse Guitars. So I started. It's funny because it was right after the kind of ran after the pandemic. I had been out of work for a while and writing my dragon book and trying to figure out what do I want to do with my life now. The career I had, that business closed down. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. I was considering lots of different things. I went to school for carpentry.
Carpentry. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And I was about to, I went through training for to be a private investigator. And I was about to write my exam. And just this voice in my head said, pursue music. And I started talking to myself and I was like, I can't pursue music. I can't make a career out of that. Like, it's so difficult. It's just, I can't, I have to have a living and then do it as a hobby. And then another voice said, there's different ways to make music or money in the music industry. It's not just about making music. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look up jobs in the music industry around me. And there was this really, really old job posting from the Octave Music Center, which is in Guelph, looking for a studio director coordinator. It was like a 10-hour-a-week job. And I'm like, this is a nice little side gig to have. So I went in and interviewed, and Ken just looked at my resume and was like, oh, you have experience with retail management and shipping and warehouse stuff and inventory and stock and scheduling and blah, 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 accounting. So that 10-hour-a-week job quickly turned into full-time directing the studio and the retail store.
Cool.
And then he saw what I did with the company. It's a 20-year-old company. He was trying to, revive it. It was our first summer back after the pandemic, opening the lesson studios up again. So we had and of course, because I had the carpentry background, I was able to help with renovations, and we renovated the studios for the summer.
That's really neat.
He just was impressed with what I did with that business, and he asked me to help him revive Stonebridge. Stonebridge was also going through a bit of a hiatus at the time. So yeah, I've been working on Stonebridge for about a year and a half. And within the last 4 or 5 months, I've been exclusively working on it. So Ken's kind of really shifted his focus to Octave. Roger, who founded Stonebridge, is really running Brickhouse Guitars, and I'm sort of managing all of Stonebridge right now. So
that's really impressive. It's so cool to see how all those elements, including the carpentry, kind of help.
Yeah, right. It's very interesting. You can never know too many skills.
Totally. And also, it's nice to hear those success stories of somebody who said, in their own head, hey, I'm still going to pursue music, even though it's potentially a long shot.
Right.
And then you took that, if I could use a phrase, leap of faith, because I know our perspectives on religion, but in that sense, you went for it. And then, you started small, and it became a side gig became your full gig. I guess.
Yeah.
And then now you still do music too, of course, but
it's really helped just having those experiences. I've learned a lot about, the direction I want to take my own music in. And another job I had is working for Inertia Entertainment in the concert industry. So I've helped put on shows and seen how they're done, in the background. And that's really helped me, when putting on my own show, how things go. And of course, doing theater too. It's kind of all these little pieces helped. I can take little bits from everything. And that's what life is, really. You should really have lots of experiences and absorb things and apply them, and just don't be afraid to try things, And that passion comes from having unbearable stage fright most of my life. I never ever thought I would ever perform, and it took a lot of self-work to just talk to people I didn't know, let alone sing in front of people. And yeah, I'm really passionate about that. Just like encouraging people to just try things, just try it, and put yourself out there. And it's scary, but it's okay. If it's scary, it means it's worth it and you care, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's really neat. And then, so you mentioned the theater part too, which is another thing that I was very interested to find out more about,
Mhm.
especially like recently, like you had the musical, vampire musical, which
Vampire
was,
musical.
and you had some sword fighting and stuff going on in there. So, what was that like for you? Like you said, you had stage fright for a bit. Now you're performing, but like maybe walk us through kind of like how about how you were able to overcome that and like
Mm.
your process to finally take those steps on this stage.
Really, the only thing that changed was when I consciously made that decision. I I want to overcome this, and I'm ready to overcome this. I'm going to do the work to overcome this. Before it was like, maybe someday I won't be scared anymore. Maybe someday this will happen to me. But when I got to the point where I was fed up and I was like, oh man, I still really want this. And I was firm and I was sure. And I just said directly to myself out loud, I want this and I'm ready for it. It's when I that mindset shifted, it's almost like it became easier, like, things just kind of fell into place after that, and resources that really helped me kinda just fell into my lap, and, like, books or websites or things that I stumbled across that said the right thing, resonated with me the right way and everything just kinda clicked into place. It was a very conscious decision that I want this and I'm gonna put in the work and I'm just gonna deal with it. And yeah. um, Once I decided that, I started really questioning, what do I think failure is? And what do I think success is? And why is success always so out of reach? And why do I always feel like everything's a failure? And why do I not feel good enough? What is good enough? What is my definition of good enough? And when you really start questioning those things, they don't have answers. And when you realize they don't have answers, that feeling becomes illogical, and you can debate with yourself about that feeling and rationalize it, and then realize like, okay, well, I'm a human being and I need to have experiences, and the only way to improve is to have the experience and do it. And realizing that, just redefining what failure and success are, because if you look at failures as setbacks instead of progressing you further, well, of course, everything's going to be a failure. Literally, everything's a failure, because no matter what you succeed in, it's not going to, like, there's still always something beyond that. So you're always just going to be like seeing yourself as back from that thing outside of yourself. But if you look at failures as a stepping stone, progression toward your goals, and that your goals are constantly changing. So there's not this be all end goal. Like, once you reach that, you never have to do anything else and you're happy forever. You're always going to want something else, something more, as you grow and change and develop. You're an organic being. And just realizing that it's not a linear path. It's like this weird zigzag labyrinth spiral of experience. And it got to the point where when I felt like I didn't meet my standards or expectations, it was motivating. It was like, okay, what do I have to change? What can I adjust? And looking at it with more curiosity and more gentleness and excitement, and like more childlike, having more childlike play
I
with
love that.
your life, it changed a lot. And that's kind of like why I incorporate curiosity so much in my stuff, because I want people to have that, like, nothing's that serious. And we should have that kind of child's, like, wonder with life and your own life and your own experiences, and just kind of be more playful with things. And yeah, that's kind of the shift, how when things shifted.
That's really powerful, and I'm really grateful that you shared that, especially like the power of what your mindset can do for you
Hmm.
and the self-talk that you have
Yeah,
with yourself
yeah,
and how that can influence you and others. Like, because when you put it out there, right? Like, I'm sure people who may have known you as maybe a bit more reserved or shy or whatever on stage, and then when they see you perform, like, wow, like, how did this happen?
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes me really like I just feel very nurturing to when people are afraid to get up there, put themselves out there, sing or play something they've been working on. And it's it's just something I wish we as a society were more gentle with. And so I have very low tolerance for um what's the word? Like just people who, yes, they've put in the work. Yes, they have their status, they have their credentials. But when they look down on other musicians or people making an effort, like there's no space on like anything I'm doing or anything I'm supporting. There's no room for bullying or judgment or anything that's going to discourage somebody from trying, you know? I think that we're all like just trying our best. And I like, I don't know. I've just seen like it's gonna happen. When you put yourself out there, people are gonna have things to say. They're gonna dislike it. They're going to think, whatever about you. And there's nothing you can really do about that. I just I hope someday for myself and for others that I can create some sort of space that kind of nurtures people, and that's kind of something I'm working towards in Quebec. I'm
Oh, neat.
opening up a space specifically for singers that kind of is treats the holistic singer. So it's not just lessons, but it's, you know, how do you treat your body every day? Are you holding tension anywhere? Do you need to see a speech language pathologist? Do you need to see an osteopath? Do you need to correct your posture? Let's learn about the anatomy of your voice. Let's learn about what's going on in your life that's holding you back or that you feel tension about. It's like a whole
Holistic, like
approach.
music therapy,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's a lot of voice lessons, but the kind of the personal coaching that goes along with that is I know people who've, taken lessons for years and years and years, but they'll never sing in front of anybody because they're too afraid. And that's so sad. I had a student specifically when I was at the Octave who had an incredible voice. Her voice was so beautiful and so natural, and like her tone, she she didn't need me for learning, but she felt like she needed me because she couldn't stand on her own.
You
She
were like
wouldn't
a
perform.
scaffold or
Yeah,
sense, right? And you could like,
yeah, which is okay.
yeah,
It's
which
nice
is
to have
okay.
that kind of mentor.
Yeah, that's
Um, but she would not perform. She was just she didn't think she was good enough, and that it just breaks my heart when that happens. And I wish there was more of an overall in the world playfulness to life. There's not so much seriousness, so much status, so much, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but that's something I'm
I
passionate
think
about.
I understand. Yeah, absolutely. I think I understand
Yeah.
where you're coming from. I mean, it's interesting to hear you talk about that because I see it too. But I don't know in other scenes that you've been in. I think with Kitchener Waterloo, I guess
Hmm.
a lot of open mics and stuff. I'm witnessing more now, so hopefully this is like showing a positive trend to what
Mm.
you're talking about, of a lot of support for people who haven't done this before, who are taking that first step on a
Yeah.
stage at an open mic, and just like the way that the crowd reacts to them, you feel them lifting the person and it's
Yeah.
not pulling them down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, when I see that, it just fills my heart too. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And it makes me feel like, okay, they can do it. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can try that.
Yeah, definitely. And positivity is very infectious. And let's like keep that going, when you feel inspired and you feel moved and you're like, oh, I want to try that. I want to do that. It's like all of that stuff you thought was holding you back, it's gone, which means it never was holding you back. You know what I mean? It's just this illusion we place on ourselves. We're always comparing, always competing, always thinking. But having said that, I do think there's value in having goals and
Totally.
having standards and wanting more for yourself and wanting to put in the work. But I think that should be very personal. I think it should be less of, I want this because they have it and they can do it. It should be like, I want this because I'm passionate about it and I want to reach that goal for me. But if I don't reach that goal for me, it's not going to hinder me from going and trying and doing other things and making progress. And just like balance, finding that balance.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to hear that you're setting that up in Quebec.
Hmm.
What else is coming up for you? Do you have any other music projects that you're working on, or?
Slowly, but surely working on a new album. There's so much going on, but I'm also starting a production company.
Oh, congrats.
So that vampire musical that you saw at Registry Theater, that was part of a Playground New Work Festival. So the writer, her name's Sonia, she wrote and directed that musical. So we got a little preview of it at the registry, but I want to turn it into a full-scale production. And my goal with the production company is to work alongside visionaries, people who write and direct, or people who are putting on somebody else's show, but they need the extra elements added to it. And I just to help bring people's visions to life. There's a lot of people thinking, this is what I want to do, but it's too big, it's too grand, there's no way it's going to happen. I'm just going to do this scaled down version of it because I don't want to go, I'm too scared to go big. And I'm very much a go big or go home person. If you want it, let's make it happen. And that's kind of my specialty, is figuring out, what do you want? What's your budget? Okay, here's how we do it. And here's the plan. And I'm, again, passionate about bringing, people who are newer to theater and aren't sure how things work, helping guide in that way, and showing them there's so much possible on a small budget. And you can have big, grandiose things for your show, for your vision. So yeah, that's something that's also just starting up. So this musical is something we'll be working on. We're hoping that it's reached its full scale potential by October.
That's amazing.
To have, for the Halloween season. But we'll see how things go. Luckily, we have a really good foundation already started, so it won't be as much of a project to take on.
That's great. So for people who are trying to hear you, see you, find you, how do they get in touch? Where do they find your music? Where do
Yeah,
they check out your productions?
I guess I guess my Instagram would be the best place to go. Really, I only kind of my website and Facebook and all that is for Kylira, the Kylira project. So if you go to kylira.com and you join the mailing list, you'll get Kylira based information. But for things I'm doing personally, the production company, the singing center in Quebec, things like that, you'd see more updates on my Instagram, which is also _Kylira. But that has kind of mix of my personal stuff in there as well. Probably should have like a personal website for all the things I do.
Fair.
But that's like another
Yeah.
that's another project. But yeah, the space in Quebec is something I'm really looking forward to. And I need a community to build it. I need experts in their fields, who want to, become a part of this thing. So that's something that's going to be slowly built. But my main goal with that right now, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do it in Kitchener as well, without this getting on my own space. Getting my own space in Quebec is a lot cheaper than in Kitchener.
Doesn't surprise me, unfortunately, but yeah.
But those like studios you can rent out for content creation, they're all set up for you. You just go in and you
Yeah,
use the studio. That's kind of my goal for this. I want to create a studio teachers can use, professionals can use to do master classes. People
nice.
can use the vocal booth for production. I'm going to build a little stage for content creation
That's really cool.
and and shows or events. So that's my goal, is to build a space that anyone involved in singing can use, and also to sell gear, microphones, gig bags, voice tools, anything you might need as a singer. So that's the vision. I'm hoping I can do something like that in Kitchener as well. Lots of professionals here for sure that could benefit.
I agree. Well, Kylira, thank you so much for your time. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Wonderful to hear all the cool projects that you have on the go and a bit more about, yeah, the inspiration behind the music. You're setting your goals, taking that leap of faith, putting yourself out there, and how you're inspiring others. So, really appreciate that.
Hmm.
Looking forward to hearing more from you, whether it's through music or otherwise. And if anybody's watching, I highly encourage you, or listening, please check out Kylira on the socials that she mentioned. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. It was fun.
Have a great night.
You too.